I have to work on that part right there, right? Like when it slips out, like because that is the old 50 Cent. I am the new 50. Like hip hop music, I believe, is connected to youth culture, and this is why so many out with the old and with the new. So many new people come and a whole new litter of people and stuff, because I think your core audience is having adult experience for the first time. It's the college point, like where they're out and having part as much as possible, and the music that is prominent at that point is like the theme music to their life. You know what I mean? And it shifts into something else that comes later when the new litter of people are in that position. And then it's like, when you can sustain your interests is because you've diversified, you've done different things, and you stayed in current. Like, you know, like when I went towards television, I was thinking, like, where's my core audience? The original people that were enjoying themselves at that point were in success. They were in college studying in the field, and in success, they have the drink that they would have on premise in the privacies of their home. So, you know, there's a wine cellar, there's a bar.
It's different.
But they have it at home instead of out in the nightlife or in the
So nostalgia there a little bit.
You grow up and you just do it different.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and then it's the, I think it's the point where they don't want to be doing what the kids do or partying where the kids are partying and stuff like that. So it's a different tone to how they have that experience.
You know, I know with Sire Spirits, you're always active in the clubs. Like you stay in the mix of the youth culture. Is that deliberate so you can always have a feel for the pulse of it?
Absolutely. And with Sire Spirits, there's what I feel like is the right approach for it is spirits are consumed when music is played. Right? So I already fit that in such a big way that I'm cheating by being there. You know what I'm saying? It puts a different energy. Like there may not be on a regular night, things shift just my presence there. Because I'm there, the DJ goes into his 50 Cent set. So he plays you know what I mean? It's almost a tribute to, because they're already grown on the music, they already listen and love it. Got things that are tested and proven over there, you know? So that happens, and then it just sets the tone. Like I think specifically with Sire Spirits, when you create high-end brands, they require lifestyle, you know? And because I'm out and in the mix, like living what the brand is. Like when people see it in the room when the parades come over and they at their table, they want that type of energy over there too, you know? Like there's a difference in, that definitely creates the separation because the other talent connected to spirits don't, like you're not gonna see The Rock doing that.
Right.
Because of the music piece. He may have a strong presence on social media in different areas, and I like just tequila, drink it myself. You know what I'm saying? But he's not gonna do that.
Right.
You know, like, so it shows you that I'm showing you that I don't have to do it that way.
Right.
You know what I mean? I could be home doing it, but I want to, you know, see and feel everything else that's going on. So
there's not a lot of crossover between, say, like pro wrestling and acting, superhero stuff.
There's not 10 of them. Like there's only one Rock.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like out of all of the wrestlers that were there, there's only him.
Right.
You know what I mean? And maybe Randy Couture.
Oh, right.
And the Expendables. Like, you know, I worked with him just recently. Expendables 4.
So what was that experience like for you being involved in something like that compared to, say, the first films you were doing?
Well, it's exciting, man, because I'm in a film with my action stars. Right. These guys are, you know what I'm saying? Like, these are my guys. Like, I'm looking like, oh, shit. We got Jason Statham. We got, you know, Rambo.
Yes, that's it.
That's the joke. But Sly's always going to be like Rambo to me. Like that, Rocky, all of that.
Right.
You know what I mean? So when I there and if he dies, he dies. Dolph London, like there's certain shit that's never gonna leave my mind. Like that's gonna be, it stands out as a moment that like for a one-liner in a film, it's a serious one-liner. Like like, and there's a like even now, those things become memes, and people use them at different points. You know what I mean? So. There's a lot
of memes of you floating around. You actually are behind some of them, I think. I don't know. There's always a strategy element with you, Fif. You know, and I mean it's kind of like the champagne bottle you have.
The king piece, like when you think of champagne, I think of the celebration. I think of victory. You know what I mean? So it easily matches with. This is why I even committed to the partnerships and relationships with professional teams, because it just makes sense. It organically makes sense to me, And then I watch major companies make mistakes, like Hennessy makes the deal with the NBA and not Tillman himself. You see what I'm saying? And it changes it. Like, for fact, my deals are with the owners direct. I have relationships with them. You see what I'm saying? Theirs is just with the logo. The NBA. So
the first time we spoke, you told me you always go straight to the source.
That's right. And anything in between will probably weaken your position.
You're gonna try and
look, if I'm under you and the guy comes to me, I want to get it for as cheap as possible, make it for the best possible deal, and come to you to impress you with the deal that I made, right? Meanwhile, if I just came straight to you and discuss, talk to you about what we could do, and you was like, let's do it. It beats what that part we would have went through. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, for me, if you can avoid the middleman or the guy under the guy, then
the guy who signs the front of the check instead of the back.
That's right.
So you were saying before about being involved in the clubs, and I've seen you go to the actual liquor stores too for the appearances. And like you also said, there's that connectedness with the youth culture and music. Right. But for you, I almost feel like a big part of your relevance, your staying power, just across all these different spaces is you're almost giving a blueprint on how to do what goes on behind the scenes.
Look, when we released the album, my first 4 albums, I would be in a Best Buy or Virgin Megastore signing CDs. It's the same. It's a different product. It's the same approach, marketing-wise. And I was open to doing it when you see me in the liquor stores because of that. Because I'd done it before. And there's the demo I said that my core audience, which is at home watching television, it's easier for them to come see me in the liquor store than to come see me in a nightclub. Their kids are there at the nightclub. So they'd rather, when they come now, they'll go, yo, I'm going to go
right.
and see him there instead of going to see him where you guys are partying, and it's uncomfortable for me because I'm looking like am I stalking you to make sure you're doing the right thing, or am I here to see you?
So the parents are seeing you at the store, or the kids are seeing you
in nightlife.
Right. So why do you think that, what's the value for you for all these partnerships and you doing it independently? Because we've seen headlines all the time, certain names, lawsuits with the conglomerates that they're...
Remy, things. Look at this. Look, when that happens, it's when they see momentum building faster than usual, try to put a little bit of downward pressure on it. And this is in any category that happens. You know what I'm saying? And when your brand is, the company is a young company, but these companies spend a lot of money marketing towards African-American males. And when you are African-American owned company, it feels like it could be a bigger issue than, like, they're spending a lot of money, bro, like a lot of financial investment and going to marketing firms to target different demographics. So when that tab is that big because they're that big, when things start they hear noise being created, go. And, like for me, I've spent over $25 million since the success of my record in legal fees alone, just legal fees, right? So, like when we be talking about money and stuff like that, I'd be like, tell me when you get rich or what get rich is. I've just spent $25 million on giving it to lawyers, law firms. So it's a different thing. I write that off as the price of business. And then when we get to the details of it, they come around because I have a way of posturing myself. Like I'll say something that other people won't say. I'll say I don't give a fuck, man. You understand?
Right,
and they'll look and
right.
go, shit. And he goes, he doesn't care at all about what you're saying. And keep going. We're gonna have fun doing that then if this is what you want to do. And it just makes better sense that we'd be friends than to be fighting each other. You see what I'm saying? And like these companies are a lot further. It's a lot longer since they own them. Like I've made how many references for free for Hennessy in music?
And that goes
it's what I
way
see.
back.
Yeah, when I'm seeing people drinking around me all the time. Like my experience, I'm a lightweight. I'm a bantamweight, even the lightest lightweight champion of the world when it comes to liquor. Not an experienced drinker. Let's say an experienced drinker is someone who's drunk somewhere right now. It's kind of early. It's kind of early in the day.
There's somebody somewhere. Somebody somewhere.
Already.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And for like overall, I look at it like it's exciting. It's I named the company Saya Spirits. My youngest son named is Saya. I look forward to building it long term for something for him to run, following it. And when you do approach things like that, it's fun. Because it's not like it has to happen tonight, tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
It is serving its purpose right now, growing. So the size of it, how big will it be when he's running by that time? Because that's the initial idea, And if there's when we talk about how long those companies have existed, when they spend a lot of money targeting the demographic that it would be FUBU, where it's forced by us. In this case, like it being a Black-owned company, there's I think an advantage and a disadvantage when you harp on that. This is why you haven't heard me mention that the entire time. It's the first time I've said that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's because when I do things, I don't do it for one group of people. I do it for the masses to enjoy themselves, man. Like,
Mm-hmm.
We got people that can't disagree on. They disagree on everything. Like, they disagree on religion, right? They disagree in politics, whether they're Republicans or Democrats, different way. Everything they disagree, right? And
Everything.
I get caught in the mix. I don't have political aspirations at all, bro. Like when I say something, it's my opinion. It's what I'm thinking when I see this. It's not for anyone to sway anyone's judgment or nothing. I'm just putting that there because it's what I think about it, right? And they'll want to contact me, following me, saying something on social media, and I don't accept it at that point because that's not that's not my goal. That's not what I'm trying to do. You know what I mean? And they'll run with it. They'll put me on the cover of the newspaper or put me in the newspaper based on it. And I'm fine with that part. I'm just not going to pursue it when it happens. Like there's so much more like to do in entertainment. Like, look, when I'm creating a Power franchise, the diversity is important in it, but it's a story I wanted to tell, right? And when I say the idea was to use New York City as a backdrop, name. There's somebody who represents everybody in New York, right? So I said, oh, this is perfect.
It wasn't a story written for the sake of diversity. It was a story that spoke to you that just so happened because it's New York City, there's diversity.
And I was knowing I could reach my core audience through the television.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? To kind of reactivate them or excite them with something that I'm creating that way. And then that's why it was important that I match the music in it. The theme song. It's very rare that no one's on tour performing the theme song to a television show.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like that I'm the only one out doing that right now.
That's a good point, yeah.
You know, and it's just because I've had time to find interest in different areas and explore different things. And then there's points that they won't accept it. Like early on, that your success in music is not going to provide an opportunity for you to just work in television. Like you have to work to receive that opportunity to be taken seriously in television. Like a lot of even the big actors, they'll get a production credit when they're acting in the show, but they're not where the hits at away from them performing. Right? They don't have the franchise that we can point out right now. There's no other one for us to look at. So that would be a clear accomplishment by being able to do that and not be in the shows. Let them just run without, you know, because the idea is not to create vehicles for myself to perform in. It's to create vehicles that help change and shape culture. You know what I mean? Like I'll become the gateway. I'll become the person that artists from hip hop and youth culture come to make or to participate in working on those kind of projects.
You know, that's an interesting thing you say there, because I feel like you've always been either a direct or an indirect mentor to so many
lot of
artists.
And it's only the guys that I really like them.
DaBaby is an obvious one.
Yeah, you know, look, when you see, I kind of see myself in these guys, bro. Like, Pop Smoke was like that. Like, and, you know, like DaBaby and them, they've even made some of the mistakes I've made. And I'm going, oh, shit. I know why you made the mistake, bro. Like, you understand? Like, and it's just coming out of the environment and the difference in peer group. Like, if you look at artists that were peers, they're making a mistake right now and not being penalized for it because they're not registering the same way. And they need someone who's already been there that can tell them, can help them weather that. Because that storm is too much for them in the beginning. Like, they don't have artist development like we had. Like, you know, you had the A&R department, you had a publicist, you had all these things. And that's what was happening at the time. What that thing was happening with DaBaby, there was no one there. He didn't even have the publicist in place. So there was no possible way to maneuver. What he had was a structure that worked for things to be successful from an independent artist's perspective. And those things were working great. He didn't have everything else in place that a celebrity or someone that's in the business publicly would have around him. And that's why the response came off the wrong way. If your first apology would have came from the publicist, all right? So it would have died down or would have quieted down a lot faster with the right people. You know, you got crisis management people and things like that. He just didn't even know that he needed something like that. And they just pick. Nobody comes, taps you on the shoulder and notifies you that you would need these things.
How did you know from the start that you should always have a team around you? Like I've seen stories of you. What was this one story? You were out at a bar, someone was coming there and they were surprised to see you had some Navy SEAL kind of characters with you. Yeah. And I imagine this was like long time ago we're talking.
You know what happens? I come from like a place where you have to be ready. Don't get ready. You got to be ready, right? And I would layer things around me that prepare for different type of situations. And
contingency plan.
Yes. And then like when they would run into it, they go, oh, shit, like it's not the neighborhood stuff. This is the other stuff, right? Like, and I went through had the same kind of vehicles Obama has. Level 6, run flats, bomb-proof shit.
And you had those long time ago.
Long time. Those is old, 03, 02. They came in and then just had them since then. Like, I've been, got them. Like there's and look, it becomes less and less necessary because of my temperament shift. A lot of it is me. You know what I mean? Like it is, I'll see something and I'll go, if there's a problem, no problem. But that temperament is saying I'm not looking for it, but if it is, let's let it be that. Because I kind of had all the things in place for it. And eventually you'll look and you go, we're not even after the same things. Like we don't have the same goals. We're not, and the competitive side of hip hop, that when they're just trying to get in, like they'll look and say, I'll establish myself by saying this because this person is notable. You know how many times they mention me now and I look at it and go, why did you mention me? Like in that interview or like I can care less about what you're doing. And there's no possible way you can stop anything that I'm doing.
Why do you think that is? Like, how come there seems to be this, like you said, you'll just get mentioned in things or pulled into things or your intentions will get spun around? Like, where do you think that comes from?
They'll do a whole hour interview, right? And then the only thing they'll see go up is he said this about 50 Cent on YouTube. Right. Because it'll get more hits with that than anything else. And then they'll write 500 different versions of it because the other guys will take it and switch it around and do it. And it's different. And they earn off it because obviously people are clicking, they're entertained by it, and I'm all right with it. I just look at it and I understand that they're utilizing that for marketing at this point because there's no issue. Like, if when you get into, I just say if it's really not a problem for you to handle it, then why would you be entertaining it if there's nothing that, there's nothing for them to cover it. If it's like everything when I said if our coach is out with the old and with the new, those people are already going to pasture, bro. But what they say in the interview can still have some relevance if it's talking about someone who's current. And there's not much they can say about the new artist because they just don't know him. So that stays there. So I guess it's a part of what anyone will go through if you're in it long enough.
So it seems like I'm trying to extrapolate these different, almost like a modernized 50th law I'm trying to gather here, right? So, mentorship, a team around you, important.
Yeah.
Having a readiness for anything.
Yeah. You can't forget where you come from. Because if you do, you leave yourself wide open, vulnerable to someone from where you come from. You see what I'm saying? And the other things that you point out, like when we do, like we was talking about the partnerships and stuff like that, there's they provide an ability for me to connect with what they've built. Like they have a different relationship with enough of the community to fill every seat here. And I can kind of step into those programs and be a part of the philanthropy and part of the things that are already tested and proven that are working. I just don't want to commit my time to something that is not working. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And once I bypass a lot of stuff that isn't by having these relationships at the same time. And in different territories now. So there's the Sacramento Kings, or in Houston, I have the whole Houston. I have the Astros. I got the Rockets and the Texans.
And then Hockey team,
Yeah, well, hockey's
Super Bowl, or
the
not Super Bowl, I'm sorry.
yeah the
Stanley
Golden
Cup.
Knights. That was in Vegas, and look, they won the
Stanley Cup, I
Stanley
think it
Cup,
was.
and then you got two teams. One matched exactly what Champaign is about. So it was such an organic fit for the Champaign to be there at that point that it was like a no-brainer that they look. My choices of who to be in association with as far as professional teams would work even if it was being utilized on Fandom. If it was just a gambling type of situation, they would win just betting on who I was hanging out with.
Right.
Because I'm looking at who they actually are before we make the decision to commit to being a part of the project.
And this is why you'll go to the owner versus the brand so you can get to know the person.
And also where they're at in the rebuilding phase. You see what I'm saying? Like when you got, look, Houston, okay, I'm saying that now, but watch how the team is in the building phase. It's going to build itself back up to a point where it's something to watch. Like it's really like, it's exciting. Sacramento is exciting now, like to see them in the playoffs and stuff like that was dope. Like I got a chance to go and see them and Steph Curry at the same time. You know, like, and these guys are like, look, they are a different kind of superhero from where I'm from. You know what I'm saying? So it's like the connection that's there is organic, it's easy. It's what they had to do to take their mind off of shooting the ball that many times that they can shoot it from anywhere on that court and actually make the shot. You know what I mean? And that it's the disciplines that for the average person, so they understand the metaphor, is try the treadmill with no music. See how long you do that. Because you'll be in your head so much and you hear yourself breathing, you ain't gonna do it as long as you usually do it. When you can put the music on and just go, it takes your mind off of it. You can do the work a lot easier. You know what I mean? And that is a part of the connection. And then a lot of the talent that you see out there on the highest level come from circumstances that weren't such great circumstances in the beginning. So they identify with the things that are being said in the music and connect in that way, you know. But it makes it a lot easier to be around the professional teams and stuff like that because of it.
There's that crossover. It just all seems organic. And for all the partnerships you do or the brands that you do or with television, another really good example, you don't just stop at the surface level. Yeah. Like you'll grow up and then you'll also build those deep roots.
Look, as far as the producers are concerned, television, they'll look and go, he likes to announce everything. Yes, because as soon as I have success added to my portfolio as a producer in television, I become the biggest television producer because I'm well known around the world. You couldn't pick these guys out in a lineup. So they can't sway the audience to watch what they're putting out next. Like they just got to use the traditional means and marketing of the networks to do it. They can't talk directly. I reach about 100 million people through my phone. I don't need Deadline or Hollywood Reporter or these publications to do anything but notify business insiders that they need to bring me the idea. So other production companies will have the idea and say, let's run this across 50 to see if he likes it because we think it might be something he's interested in. And it connects, and it's how I get to 30 television shows across 10 different networks in a faster time frame than they've seen anything else grow at that point. And then when I said I would become the gateway, and that the concept would be I would be able to place people from not that have huge audiences into areas that don't necessarily credit that audience. Like they can have a gazillion people follow them. They're hot as hell right now in music culture, and it won't mean that they're not even on a list of people that they should make an offer to. You see what I'm saying? And I know that person means more to the project at that particular point. So I actually get them and put them into something that would may allow them to survive themselves later. Because even if they did everything every other artist we know done, and burn out on that at some point, if they've worked in between time periodically on the film and television stuff, that there's a second career. Every athlete you see run up and down the court and playing football, they got to consider a second career. Because they're going to be there, they're going to make a lot of money while they're there, but football is even shorter. Like, they may make a lot of money doing it, but you get hurt, it's a wrap. You know what I'm saying? And then what's next? Everybody got to think about those things, like how you transition, like where you want to land.
Is this why you've decided to be independent for most of the things that you do, so you have that stability there versus, I guess, just relying on somebody else, right? For resources or what have you. Better for you to just go out, gather those resources, build those relationships yourself.
Look, I've had an opportunity to buy a lot of shit that didn't matter. It doesn't matter, right? Like, you, at points, like that house that you have in your head, that really nice house, you need to buy it. And then when you get over it, you need to move to something else that's different that you can be comfortable in at the same time. But you do need to have the experience. You see what I'm saying? Like, it's living. Bro, when we look good, we feel good. Look at the time you took to put on, to pick what you picked to wear, right? So, yeah, you should do it. Like, and get it and feel good that day because you know you look good. It's because the time is the most expensive thing we spend, bro. And we can't get it back. We're getting older. Life is shorter than usual. You see shit happening. People are, it's like we're on 10 out here. Like, it's going up to a new level. And the things of value that were taught even on the ground level, like the hardest people in the roughest areas had a aspiration built into them. So it was about, they were that hard because they wanted to make it.
Right.
Now I see it's happening at a younger stage, so that there's no aspiration to make it. There's more, they want to mean something, and what will make them mean something in the environment is if they can connect to the violence.
Right.
That's there. Because that will immediately affect you. Like, you see the young boys say, you ain't got no bodies.
Yeah.
See, now if he's around and he does have bodies, what does that do to his aura? It makes him someone of power when he comes around, because he might be catching another one now. You know what I'm saying? So you got to pay attention to him. You got to at least have to respect what he's already done. You know, and this is why they go in that direction of doing that, because I'm sitting myself, I go, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Like, what is, like I'll go, nah, we don't rock with them. Why? They're my ops. And I'm like, why? What happened? Nah.
Right.
They think I'm trying to ask. I'm not trying to resolve it. I don't care. If you got an issue, but what is the issue?
Right.
You see what I'm saying? And I'm going, when they can't tell me what the issue is, it's because that was filtered. They were told this is our op from someone else that they told them. I said, they don't know. It just was, that part was given to them. They don't know. They can't explain it to me exactly. Like, and from there I'm going, oh, okay. And then when you start, once it sits around long enough, if that's happening on the other side, because it is happening on the other side of it.
It seems like just an absence of purpose, of meaning. You know, for you, when you first got into music, Get Rich or Die Trying, there was all these themes of, like, I'm here and, you know, just got to make it, Trey Songz, right? There was that, versus now it's just, like you said, op is the op, and that's it. The reason doesn't matter.
My first album title was Power of a Dollar. And then you go from that, when you you go through life-threatening situations, it becomes get rich or die trying. But it is very consistent. You see what I'm saying? And it's because I come from people, they hustled. They all wanted to make it. That's what made it make sense to participate, not have it. When you're around and you're like, I ain't got nothing, and you're going, I want to make it. I want to make it too. Right? That's my goal too. And then you can kind of get into what's happening into the environment because those are the themes that run. And the other stuff was still there, the violence and things with people. We have people that are naturally that. You know, and so those things, their value they're gonna make their value in that. And even the success, when the artist becomes successful coming out of that environment, you're gonna have people around him that he feels secure about being around because he know that when they're traveling to these different neighborhoods and these different areas, that it may be something there, but he knows that this person right here will do it regardless of what. So they bring that person. And without acknowledging it, that person needs them to have altercations for them to need them to be around. Mm. You know what I mean? So you just brought what you had in the environment with you. That is what is going to potentially bring you down. So a lot of the young talent, when I'm talking to them, when I say that to them, they go, so he's saying it's going to be me that brings me down. Yeah, if you don't adjust, if you don't receive the information and internalize it and really make the right decisions as you move forward, you are. It is limited time on that. The opportunities for you to be derailed completely will come from the people that you came with. You know, and it's just the way they were brought into that circle of things as it took off, because they don't really have, why would you need them? They need you to have an issue so you can need them to be there so they can.
That's how they add their value.
Right.
That's how they stay on the payroll.
It's, you know, and that goes on. It's just, and these are things that no one's exempt to it. Like I don't care who it is. When they're picking someone who they trust at some point. Like if they may not even have management, nothing. Like they just took this kid's beat from YouTube, paid him, did their thing and put it on iTunes and this and it's working. Mm-hmm. The song's working and they called me, they want me to perform at this nightclub over here. So my auntie's gonna get the first half. And she gonna get the second half before I go on. Cause she not gonna take the money from. And that might work until it's a lot of those shows because auntie, you know how it is doing business with your family. You might not want to do that.
Right.
Right. But they'll pick anybody around them they trust at that point because they don't have there's no structure. If you look around, there's no groups.
Right.
In hip hop, the only thing, Migos, that's it? Yeah, it's because there's no, if it's artist development, some of these guys would sound better as a team.
Right.
The contrast of the two of them next to each other, it'll be your Mobb Deep or your MOP, that version of music, repeating itself. But there's, when I miss a lot of stuff that's going on in hip hop, I don't, the small parts, the things that are happening when they're growing and coming into being the new guy. Because like the buzz, I'm not following each kid in the very beginning. But I do miss more like the R&B music.
Right.
Where's that at? Like I don't see that at all.
It's all taken. You told me this once before too, that it's almost getting eroded away, and now you have an artist like Drake, right?
Yeah,
he's kind of doing
the only one that you can get that from,
right?
Like on the highest level, you get it, that's what it would make Drake more important in this period. Versus,
you contrast that with the music from the 70s. The groups were so prominent. The soul, and even before that, Temptations and all sorts of these groups.
Because there's no one putting them together and making them be a group. They're those guys are all solo artists. They're all separately making an effort to do something instead of being flown in to put him with him and to build this group that's going to really mean something.
Do you think like the Justin Timberlakes or the Beyoncés whose origins were in groups, but then
they sprouted, yeah.
Right. Do you think that's influenced the erosion of the groups at all too? Or
Well, I think that was natural. I think always there's someone that's there that could creatively look. Both of them were the heads of those groups. You see what I'm saying? So it was just a creative adjustment, and the support that she would receive or he would receive would still be there. Because if they decide to make that, like when you see the new tour, how much production value is on Beyonce's tour?
Oh, I didn't see that, but I'm sure it's
serious. It's really good. Like there's a different. You don't miss the two other females being there with the record. Like it feels like it's just hit music. Like because whenever they start one way. Like I was on Columbia Records, so like I was watching Beyonce's early career. Not by choice. It was just in your face. Like it was in the building. Like so it was right there. And then with Destiny's Child in the early stages, you see, it's a group. It's a thing. And then when she blossoms out of it, it turns into something that's even crazier. Like you can't really contest it. It is what it is. You know, like, and then Justin is, well, a male version of that. You know, because look, you got other guys in the group. Even if they weren't as visibly talented in that way, they could have done more damage away from him than like on the other side, other things, and been in culture where we saw him, you know. So, I mean, it's an adjustment. Like a lot of times when artists when things don't go exactly the way they want, or if you ask them what happened, they go, it was the label. You know, like that is the answer. So for me, what I get a lot of times is, because I'm an individual that they can look at as the label, it was 50 instead of the label. Like, you know what I'm saying? But that's the same thing. It's really when the creative person is not doing what they need to sustain themselves within culture and being active in different ways. And then when their brand dwindles away or dies down based on that, they blame who they can. Oh, it was the label, but I'm the label by myself, so it becomes 50.
I can't think of any example with you where it's almost like being a victim is trendy now versus with you, it appears from the outside looking in like your default mode has been ownership. No matter what's happened to you, it seems you're just like, okay, this is on me. Like,
and look, my interest in money is being able to do what I want to do creatively. So, look, there's no African American in anywhere in film and television that has green light ability. Clear green light ability. You could just say, here, for that to go. So when you look at producing a hit is not enough. It's not enough for me. When I got one, I'm cringing to get the next one. Like I'm even, look, while Power's working by itself, I go do The Oath on Sony Crackle, right? Just to have something else. And this one was, you can see it online, like, but I'm like, no, I gotta get something else going. And when I do that, I produced The Oath at like a Tyler Perry price point. It wasn't like a premium $1 million episode type of thing, right? And it's just because I needed something else there. So if not, you a one-hit wonder. You know how many one-hit wonders we got in music culture? That I'm scared of that shit. You got one hit, I'm like, oh no, I need something else, bro. or I got one and that's it.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And I went through that process and I put that one up and it was the highest rated thing on Sony at the time. So you go, Power is happening here, highest rated show on Sony. They go, okay, nah, this is real. It's gonna be a lot more from him, not just that one effort. You know what I'm saying? And it's because, look, the only reason why a pimp want more than one hoe is because one hoe is so close to no hoes. Even in that world, bro, like he wants more around because it will be you're left with nothing. Because the police picked up your one prostitute.
Now you're out of business. Now you're stuck.
You're out of business till you can get out of jail.
It seems like there's just this ongoing process where you have to, I guess you have to just prove something to yourself in a way, right?
It's always, look, well, for me, you could look at it like I'm proving it to myself, but I know I can do it. I'm kind of crazy like that. Like I can convince myself what I'm doing next, and I'm doing it.
Right.
Like, and once it's in my head like that way, I can really embrace how really is what are my obstacles? What are going to be in front of me? What's going to be difficult for me to get around? And what do I do about that when I get there? So I can start assessing that because once I say I'm doing it. And then like when you said the things that symbolize success to me in the very beginning, I've had all of them. You see what I'm saying? So it's like every car, every item that I can pick, house, or you want a beach house? You want a house that's just by a lake? Maybe, like, you know what I mean? Like different things, like I did all that. So when you have these things and you go, okay, man, you can have 55,000 square foot, 37 bathrooms, 6 kitchens, right? And you're gonna still sleep on one bed. Does the entertainment places. So if you're not in that mode where you want to bring that many people around for you to entertain them, then you're not good. Look, when I look at real estate, I look at the more you spend on the property, what you get is your entrance. It's supposed to be so amazing that it's breathtaking, right? But if the rooms in the house are too big, you're not gonna like the house. You're gonna get the same room in those spaces when you get to the rooms. So when you look down the hallway in your house and you don't want to go down there, because it's like down the block from where you would be in your regular life, like before any of this stuff took off, you look and you go, and you're on the intercom, you're calling people on the intercom instead of going over there. Like these are the real things, the adjustments that shit is happening, and I'm looking, I'm like, yo, why did I buy this shit? Like,
it sounds like an actual experience you had. This is
real life, bro. Like I'm looking, going, what the fuck made me to buy this shit? And I'm like, it doesn't matter. And then I'm like, rather go into a condo than the big house at the time. Because I didn't have, look, if I had Nick Cannon's 12 kids and shit like that, then you could put them all in a bedroom. Everybody's here. It would mean putting everybody together, then it would make sense. But I'm not going to have kids like that. I don't want the responsibility of that many women that you got to deal with emotionally, especially after they don't feel like your friend anymore.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Like it's too much to kind of, I don't know what the fuck is wrong with Nick Cannon. You know what I mean? Like this shit is just different, right? See, look, I have to work on that part right there, right? Like when it slips out, like, because that is the old 50 Cent. I am the new 50. Yeah. I owed him that because he said something about me. He said I was, what he said? He said on one of his little shows and shit, he said some shit. Yeah.
What else? What are some other examples like the house that you found that you realized as the success came, like, why did I want this or why am I here?
Yeah, like a yacht, right? Yacht, to me, when I look at the yacht, it's beautiful. In the water on a day when you can go out and go get on it. But look, the final lap tour, I had 93 dates, right? I'm gonna be off moving around so much that the yacht turns into a hole. It turns into a hole in the water that you just could keep throwing money in because you don't even have time to get on it. And it's just sitting there and it's probably gonna look like it's damaged or weathered after it's been in the water and then taken out of the water. So I gotta do maintenance to clean shit off of it that was floating around it. And it's just gonna create an expense that if you didn't have the expenses within lifestyle, that wouldn't make sense. Like with all of that touring and stuff like that, if I decide I'm not gonna be on a bus, I'm gonna fly private everywhere I go. If it makes less wear and tear on me because I'm going to 93 different territories, yeah, I don't care about the expense. When you look at the bill, your income, and then you look at what you spent, and the IRS is there. Because boy, oh boy, I'd like to be him just for a little while. Uncle Sam, let me be him for a couple days. Because you know how I'll be saying I want my money by Monday?
Yep.
He want his at 12 o'clock sharp. Like the big dogs are waiting. He's looking for the big ones like, yeah, you can, at 12 o'clock sharp. They want that money. So, you know, and they got that team of people that live in the gray area. You know, they got their own, IRS has lawyers that work for them. So they're there to argue with you until you decide to just give them the money. So when I said the gray area is because right and wrong doesn't matter, it's what can you prove? And how can you word it the right way within the system? Because you can get a judge to look and have their own personal judgment. You can't block yourself from being who you are. We got a system, it's not a bad system, it's just, it works as good as the people that we have involved with it. You know, so when we don't have good people involved, it doesn't work well. For law enforcement, for a district attorney's office, no matter which layer of it we talking about, this is America, baby. They follow, look, I travel everywhere in the world because I have success in America, in music. When you win here, you win the world. They follow us. Dubai is Las Vegas. They made that. What we look at, when you see that, that's there because of Las Vegas. Now, the RICO and conspiracy charges that these boys are catching, they're catching those because of the people that decided to go to Las Vegas, the mafia. But to think when you would travel, one of the most prestigious places to travel right now, Dubai would be on the list of it, and that concept is following Nevada, it's following Vegas. You know.
You think there's problems with the institutions here in America? Maybe that's why things seem to be a little shaky, the foundation.
Yes. But there's, again, blame it on individuals.
Right.
Blame it on, you know, their personal agendas and how they feel personally about things. Like, you know, I just don't think it works without good people. You know, so you can do the right thing and catch a bad break. You can, you know, like it could just be, the only thing anyone could do in America is sue someone. And the lawyers will be outside waiting when they know that you tripped and you fell in front of some shit and you was like, he was right there. Listen, here's my card. Just call me. Do it on contingency so you're not investing in anything because the person involved has deep pockets. That's the way it's set up, bro. Like, you know what I mean? So it's not, there's things that you can remove yourself from it. Like the old superstar model, right? Like I'm gonna get M out of the house. Like for my birthday, Dre, Jimmy, Paul, everybody came see me in London and stuff like that. And it's great. And I get on the phone with him, and then I really feel good. You know what I'm saying? Because he's the last piece to that puzzle. But we just got to, like, while we're there, we having a conversation. Yo, we got to get him out. I'm like, get him out. So why y'all didn't bring him? Like, you know what I mean? Like, they could have got him. Like, I've become one of those people that they'll go, if you would have called, it may have happened. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, and it's only because of consistency. You know, like him, what he did for me, you can't repay that. You know what I'm saying? Like people, they don't understand it. Like I always knew, like my head didn't get big with momentum because of me and M's relationship. When I'm doing 13 million records, I'm the biggest thing in hip hop culture for any artist that you could directly compare to me. But he's doing 23 million records on the Marshall Mathers LP. So I know that there's room for growth, and I traveled. I said, I want the Marshall Mathers LP plaque. It was in our business manager's office. I only trust those people with my money because they had M's money. And we look, and it had the Marshall Mathers plaque and had all of these flags. When I said, yo, I want that. And that's why I tore it. And then when you see me say final lap and it says 90 dates for the tour, it's because I've done the footwork because I wanted the flags that was on his plaque then. You see what I'm saying? Like, he didn't tour as much because he said he didn't want to go on tour and come back and Haley be grown. And it's real. Like, you can get into the regimen, you're doing it, and you look and you go, what? You didn't even know it's a start and stop type of thing, start and stop. Then you look and you turn around and your baby is grown, bro. Like what the fuck did I do? Like, you know, and you missed a lot of stuff, a lot of moments and things. And he was conscious of that. Like, he wanted to do that. And they got a lot of money. Yeah, them sold over 120 million records, bro. You don't do shit after you sell 120 million records. Take your ass somewhere and go sit down. If you say, look, go to the studio to create new material, critique things and say, I could have did this better, or I could make this, and really work on your craft, that, you're going to do that forever. Like that, because the comfort, I think when he did 8 Mile, they made him uncomfortable. It is, like if you're not prepared, like I'm over prepared. I don't want to be there and be uncomfortable because I don't have the information or that I don't know my lines. Like that, me and Robert De Niro, he called me, I had to go sit with him. I met him, he was staying in New York City by Central Park. I went to go see him because he wanted to make sure that it was a movie project we were looking to do together. And when they told him that I would do it, he was like, he wanted to meet with me to make sure that I actually was interested in the craft and the project. Because you didn't want to end up in one of these type of DMX situations with motherfucker that locked himself in the trailer and it's got other stuff going on because you don't know the lines. You don't know what he's supposed to be doing today. Like, you know what I'm saying? And that was one of the experiences there was like, after we met, we talked then, and it created a relationship that was a little more, let's say it was better.
Right.
Because we interacted on that at that point. It was just me and him. And then we didn't end up making the film, but the next thing that came up was Righteous Kill. So it was him and Al Pacino in the same film, and they actually were performing in the scenes together because they did Heat. It was in Heat, but it was one scene. This one they worked on a few scenes together and stuff like that. So it was great to have both of them in there to watch. And then it also was like, why does he keep talking to him? Like, why does he keep talking to that kid? Like,
right.
And then it makes Pacino talk to me more because we already made acquaintance on things, prior to that.
Do you think he was vetting you in a way at first, just to kind of see like?
Yeah, because you don't want to commit to a project with someone that's doesn't want to work on this. Like if you say, and you got him there, and what is this? Like, what am I doing here? Like, you know what I'm saying? And it would be, that meeting was about him kind of protecting what he worked for. Like his legacy, he's one of the greats, man. Like, when the project was done, I developed a great relationship with Avi Lerner because Avi financed the film. When we got to France, like to Paris, it was time to do the publicity for it. And I remember that they was going, well, what is he doing? Because a lot of times they don't have to do anything. Their name will be enough to give it the stamp, and it'll do well regardless. Like a lot of the films, I learned from watching them, Avi Lerner, that they sell the films prior to us watching them. Like those international territories, they're getting the money from that, and then they may select Lionsgate or one of the studios for the domestic sale. So when you have brands like that connected to it, it is easy to sell. You know what you're gonna get for how you recouping the finances from it, right? And then when we was in Paris, and they didn't, they kind of got into this, what is he doing? Wouldn't do or involve themselves more than the other one. I was like, I'll do it. And they didn't realize how many more outlets would want to cover it because of music culture and everything else that was there. Like, think about the music blogs, the music television, everything that covers just music that wouldn't be covering the film. Because they had the stuff that, the film stuff, and then when they saw all of the stuff come from music, they was like, God damn, like it made Avi, he's like, my guy. You know what I mean? Because it just, and it's why the Expendables 4. Now, see how it goes full circle?
Mm-hmm.
Avi's financed Expendables 4, and it's why the call is made now. For me to be a part of the project and participate with this project now. So, like, my relationships are important to me. Like, this is, like, when I started this piece, I'm talking about me and M's relationship, but it falls full circle to everything. Like, when I interact with people and they are good people, I try to keep that going. Like, there's no reason not to, you know what I mean?
With your tour, 600,000 tickets in the first week, I think it was?
The first 7 days.
How do you feel that you're maintaining this influence still globally?
Well, I think
because there's so many artists now, you know, you have the one hit wonder category, and then you have the local relevance, and then kind of sort of national relevance, but you are like a global staple at this point. This is a part of that whole GOAT debate that goes around. And why you're always in it is because everyone says, well, nobody's international like 50 is.
Yeah. You know what's crazy is the blessing is when Get Rich or Die Trying sold 13 million records, that was around the world, like everywhere, right? So there was no place that I wasn't having my moment at that point. And then I came back to Damascus, sold 10 million records again, and then I come back, and the touring never really stopped. From Curtis, from Beg for Mercy, all those different things, the albums, the G-Unit records, all of that. So there was always building something in those markets because I've been there. Like this, we talk about places where English is not their first speaking language a lot of times. Like they are having a different experience in learning English through knowing the music, knowing the sounds of the music. Like even if they don't know exactly what they said, they can say it the way the song goes, right? And when you dare to touch bases and you real, they're look at this. The rougher side of their experience, we think we got it hard. Here it's not hard here. You don't see how people fight to come across the border? They want to be here, bro. You see what I'm saying? Like, if you go and look, when you get into those other territories, when their lower level, their poverty is more extreme than ours. You see what I'm saying? And we got some people that have just decided not to try. They're more comfortable in a tent with nothing on their schedule every day. Some of them make the decision to just get the tent and feel no pressure to make it or no pressure to do anything. You know what I mean? And that's just I can't comprehend the thinking. Like, you know, my thought process is so different from them that I can't relate to it. But it's real. Like, some of them just made the decision to do that. Like, and if there's you would look and think in Africa and these other, it's different when because third world countries, bro. Like, look at Brazil, it's popping. You're torn out there. You go to certain areas, you go, what the fuck is going on? Like, this is a different level of poverty than what we're accustomed to, bro. And you look at that, and when you make the connection and you're able to be all of those places, it's just amazing. Music is magic. When we talked about people not getting along and disagreements with their religious beliefs and even their political beliefs and everything, they still, all those people who disagree will enjoy themselves when the right music comes on. They will take a break from that shit to have a good time right then, because it's not about their beliefs at that point. It's about just enjoying yourself. And this is why I try not to over-involve myself in politics. Or I may have my opinion, say my opinion, but I'm not answering. You would not believe how many people inquire after, once they use it, because it turns into national news.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and they wasn't covering when they passed the law. They're covered when I said what it's going to do.
Right.
You know what I mean? And it's because they go, from my perspective, they're going, why he said that? Like, what? I know what's there.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, it's going to turn into things like we're going to be getting everything from Amazon, your toothpaste and everything else. Because then if they're making it where the smaller theft is not even a penalty for it,
right.
The person that's getting high would just be standing in front of the store going, yo, give me the $15. I'll go get everything you want. Tell me what you want. And just walk in the store. All this stuff is free. And you give them $15 and you give you $30 worth of shit. And you just go home. Why would that not happen? Why would that not happen, bro? You see what I'm saying? Like, if you these laws, it just doesn't make sense to me that you.
That's happening in New York too, I think.
When
where
you grow up, the circumstances I grew up under make me have a compass or a way to feel out what would happen under the scenario. Like, and I look and go, nah, and they're gonna do that until they regress and becomes easier to do something that is not within the law until you see them do more extreme things. This is why you see, even in the towns that they tried it in early on, a spike in violent crimes and everything. You know, but I don't have political aspirations. I don't
so
really have
no,
the conversation.
no.
I'm just like...
It'll be plastered everywhere.
Yeah.
I think the music plays a big part, but I think it's also just your perspective, because what's really interesting is you're a trusted source because people know that you
The experience, yeah.
Right. The experience is there.
From it. So you look at,
because people don't even know what is true anymore. It seems in a lot of ways, but everyone knows what's. Everyone knows 50's 50, and that's that's it.
You going if there's I wouldn't want it to be any other way either, because it's the way that even the hip hop music. Our culture loves things that are damaged, right? You'll see things re-enter or reconnect through the music. Right? And they say if the person's been battered or bumped around through the experience, it becomes more exciting to see them sound so beautiful. It sounds perfect on the song, when it's a hit song. And when they connect, and you know that all of the damage is there, it's exciting to watch, bro. Like, it's exciting to watch. And then it's very rare that you see artists that connect that don't have a backdrop. Where's the really wealthy kids creating hip hop music that are in the number ones or in the higher end of the chart?
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't happen. They usually have some sort of story or some sort of experiences that they could put into the music. You know what I mean? And I think it's a cool part of it, but it's also, it jades people's, at points it helps shape a new idea of how things should be. Like, you know, like you look, now we got so many women, which is positive, so many new females in hip hop, probably the most.
Yep.
I've seen ever. Like we just hit the 50th year of hip hop mark. And, but this is probably the maximum amount of female artists at one time. So what you get is, how was it being in a male dominant industry and being like one of the only females? And they go, well, I have to work hard and it is something to focus on. And then other women come and they go, bitch, get out of here. Yeah. Because when the other women come, they become competitive. It becomes the battle. It becomes what hip hop culture is. You see what I'm saying? But I watched the narrative shift because it wasn't a lot at one time, and then it grew fast.
Yep.
So it's a lot. It's like one record here, one record here, one record here. So it's like 5 new female artists. Even when they connecting easier than the male talent, because people, I hear amazing things from artists, writers that doing things, and then I look at them, and I'm saying, is it true? Is what he's saying? Is he telling you the truth? Because that's really the only question, is if he's really who he's saying he is on this record, because it is good. And then a lot of it is not real because they're just saying what they're saying, but it's not really real. But for the females, we don't say, is it true? Because a lot of the times the things that she's saying it is what she was willing to say. Right? It says that this is okay by her in presentation, because the things that they're putting in the music, it is sexual, a lot of it. Out of those new female artists that I told you that just popped up, it's very rare that you see songs or something come from them that don't have sexual references in them. You know, and the idea itself is sexual. You know, it's a different version of the same thing.
It's probably really striking for you to see too, this like the generational connection now, like the Nicki Minaj with the Ice Spice and the or the Glorilla and the Cardi B, you know, like all these different. That's amazing.
I love Nicki. She's from
Queens,
Southside,
right? Yeah.
Her damage comes from the same place. She comes from the same, like that. This is where it gets interesting for me to watch, because I look like when women have a dispute or a disagreement, I think that's female business. That's girls' business, because that can happen fast because they're emotional. Like they'll get into some things, have disagreement, and then they can resolve it faster than we can too. Like men will have an issue to go on longer than they will when they decide to, right? But I don't hold those things to the same regards that I would hold the guys having issues. And it's really interesting to watch, because I think when they get into the competitive mode, that they may bring greater material out of them. Like when you don't have a person to compete with, you need to make that person. It'll help you work when you're tired. You know what I mean? Like point to someone who does something well, and you go, all right, that's what I'm competing with. You don't got to notice them. You don't have to notify them. It's more sophisticated if you don't notify him, right? But you know he's a great photographer, you know he's good at what he's doing or whatever it is, and it makes you push yourself to the next level and find something that, you know, cinematographers, different things there that you want to make something great. Now you're like, psh, I should have light a fire under you. You see something new come out from them, and you're like, he dropped that. Wait till you see what I'm gonna put this out.
It's like Jordan always, Last Dance took it personal.
This is what made him great, bro. You see what I'm saying? Look, when something is going on in him that the rest of them don't have, like they're playing the game. I gotta win. He's saying, I have to win this ring. Like, and these guys are supposed to? Yeah, I've seen it. Like, it's almost, I think it fuels, it could be mistaken for a gangster energy. That when a person's like that, it's just driven, and it's like whenever a person's extremely focused, they're ruthless. Call that the guy that's aggressive, that's being violent in the neighborhood. Call that the district attorney that's giving them way more time than they should be actually getting for it. But because she's focused on moving her up in her career, and she feels like he did something, she want to give him the maximum amount. You can easily get bumped out the way when a person is extremely focused. And I think when I've even experienced with people, executives. Huh? Like I've working with a guy, and then he I seen that he really, like, when someone was telling him no, like he was looking at him like, what the fuck do you mean no? Like his energy really was like, I don't understand why you would fix your mouth to say no to me. And then I'm looking at him like, oh shit, like this is like like for a split second, we are right back in the neighborhood around, you know what I'm saying? And I'm like, nah, like he said in this term that they couldn't take the products into the change that he was trying to get at the time. And he was like, who's financing this fucking guy? He was going over like, who's giving him the money to do what he's doing? Because his relationships would influence up there.
Right.
To change his fucking mind and let him take it right now. You know, but I've seen some gangster shit that not from people that you would see as a gangster in any way, but it was the shit that was going on in him was completely gangster, bro. Like, it was not like, no, I'm gonna get you shot or I'm gonna do this, but he was looking like, what the fuck do you mean? You telling me no? Like, are you crazy? Hold up, who's financing this guy? Cool. You see what I'm saying? Because he has people that's gonna call people to get to whoever's giving him the money to even have him exist. And say, this fucking guy he's an idiot. He's telling us no. That he doesn't want to do this. Think it's the right thing. Like, what the fuck? Then later they changed their mind. That's when I was feeling like that was some gangster shit. Like they told us no, bro. Told us no, and then I'm like, yo, he was like, what? Like, fuck do you mean no? Like, who? You see a person don't understand that you're not doing what I want to do? That's kind of gangster to me, that you can even feel that way. You know what I'm saying? Like, and there's not a lot of people achieve that, but because they constantly run into things that they can't just do it. But like when I said that my interest in money is me being able to do what I want to do when I feel like it's like not just fly on a jet when I get ready to, or cars or the house. I'm talking about if I want to make the series and they don't understand how good the series would be, I go make the series now. I got the writers, I put the thing together, I produce it, I make the series, I license you the series. If you would have saw it, you could have bought it. But now that you couldn't see it, you can license it, and I can have the money after a few years. You just reverts back to me. You see what I'm saying? And then it changes. It even makes the lap make sense. It makes the final lap make sense. Because when you look at the income off of it, it makes all of the things that I do on the other side minor for the year. You see what I'm saying? So they could put yourself in the position of someone who's your producer, you're getting ready to sell this project to the network, right? What the difference between my interactions with them is, I think the unwritten law is to appear not to need anything, right? Because everybody will do you a favor when you don't need one.
Right.
Yeah. When you do need it,
forget it.
You have a unique and special situation if someone wants to help when you do need it. But when you don't need it and you could potentially do a bigger favor for them in return at some point, most people find it a lot easier to do you that favor that you need, right? So when you come in and I'm not saying, please buy this show from me. I'm saying, look, this is an opportunity for us to have some success together. This is gonna work, whether you like it or not. Like, so this is the stars component when I still have a deal. When I say I have 30 shows across 10 different networks, and like now and coming, and development coming out, they had to tell me no 23 times. 23 times they told me no, and another network told me yes. And I'm batting 100 on their network. Everything that I've released with them is a success. The highest rated shows they have. When you start saying, oh no, I have this idea, I want to do it my way, then you lose out on all the content that I was contractually obligated to give you. Because I did not miss one time the entire time. If you would have took that, you'd have been all right. But now, someone should get a bucket and start throwing water over the side because the boat got a fucking hole in it, bro. You can't see it sinking? The shit is sinking right in front of everybody. Yeah, like, and this is the the type of situations that you see happening. It kind of like, and you can't. What you got to do is build until you can just decide to be it yourself. If no one else is enjoying being that, you know what I mean. And a lot of times wasn't receiving the accolades or the nod that you'd receive for the success of these actual projects. Look, if they compared it, they would probably compare the Power Universe to Yellowstone. Multiple successful spinoffs following the success of the show. And I mean, the advantage and connection of the project, the difference is the diversity, which makes you see what I'm saying, a lot harder for it to struggle to even be recognized at that point. And then, but it's already widely enough appreciated to separate me from anybody else making content.
Right.
You know, and it's not even like Tyler. I think Tyler is dope. Like the stuff that he's doing, but we just got a different targeted audience, a different like the content that you would receive from me in music, kind of a part of that experience, the journey, the things that you see me offering in television are organic on some levels. You know? So like my passion projects or the things that I get excited about are things that kind of are relatable in the experience.
Mm-hmm.
When we become an official cognac or champagne of professional sports team like the Houston Rockets or like the Astros or the Texans or Sacramento Kings or the Timberwolves, Indiana Pacers, like all these different guys, the cool part for me is to be able to connect with their charitable organizations. So I'm able to bring true unity and connect with organizations that are already working. Like I've made donations to other existing organizations, like non-for-profits and stuff like that since 2004, but I didn't offer my time. You know what I mean? I would just do it. And it makes a lot of people feel like that those are the things that, like it's a tax write-off, but I went past what I would have to do for taxes. I did different things, like, because it was just the right thing to do from my perspective. And that now I'm able to coordinate and be with, the reason why you see me more around philanthropy is because connecting through what they've developed on the ground is allowing me to get to something that I know is effective already. Because I'm able to see the stats and the things that it's already done. So it's not a waste of my time to be there. You know what I mean? And it makes me feel like now I'll go do that. Like if it was just something I'm creating in the environment myself, then it has to become a big deal. I have to work on it till it grows to be a big deal. Mm-hmm. When I can pop and plug into different things in different areas because of my personal interest in wanting to do it, that's the best way to do it. Like I think is because these organizations are like the biggest organizations in those areas. Like you go to Sacramento, the Kings are everything. Like in these different areas, it's like during that like when basketball season is running, it is the biggest.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? So they've gone through that process and vetted organizations themselves to get to where they're at with what they have, and then it allows me to extradite past that process and kind of come in, and then their relationships. I'm making relationships at the most effective programs instead of just being involved with things that are not put together, like are not as well put together, and I think. Look, it is the cheat sheet for me because I probably wouldn't be involved as much philanthropy, but having the relationships, it makes it a lot easier with those intentions, because you gotta look and say, this is like almost the guys that own the billion-dollar franchise, their resources of where they should be doing things in philanthropy, instead of me trying to figure it out, I'm tapping straight into what they've already developed in those areas. And now people understand why I decided to do it that way, because it's the most effective way. you know, and with Science Spirits in general, I was, you know, looking at it like we should promote conscious capitalism. And only because 10% of business would alleviate all extreme poverty.
Mm-hmm.
Just people are not conditioned to give away what they work for. But if they started those businesses with that mindset, you wouldn't feel how different is your life if we created Google? How different would our life be if we allocated 10% of what the proceeds from it
Mm-hmm.
to extreme poverty?
From day one, that's the plan.
It would not change one thing in our lives.
Yep.
Just to make the majority shareholders of the companies that are the big companies are not conditioned to give away things that they work for. And how could you fault them for that? When they have to work to keep even what they have, because you know that the IRS wants to take it. Like, This is exactly the way, like, come on, it's right there in front of you. Like,
I think there's a psychological component there too. If you get, then you feel like you're giving it away. Maybe it doesn't feel it's.
to give, why would, look, if you got up and you may not have to work at that point, but you want to. Like, even when you see the guy's a billionaire, he's still making big business transactions because it's how he got to the position that he's in now. He didn't change as a person.
Mm-hmm.
So he's going to pursue more until there's like no more to get. Like the everything's this.
Mm.
And then the object is to kind of, you have to put the money back. When you get to the top of the board, you have to put the money back so everybody else can function in because it's not going to change anything in your life anyway at that point.
Hmm.
The cars, the houses, the people that you pick, some people know how to live better than others with or without money. They just sought out and picked a better person to share their time with. You feel what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Even if you sleep in a one-bedroom apartment, you may be richer than a rich guy. You see what I'm saying? Your life, the fabric of your life and what you're doing and how you feel about yourself at the moment. If the person if that's sufficient for them, like, they don't, at the top of it, they're not, do you need that?
Right.
Is the question. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's going, sometimes I say things, I'm like, what is that? Like, 60 million, 80 million. I don't think there's an $80 million house. Like, I don't think there's $80 million worth of things you can give me.
Right.
Like, if we sat down and thought of what to put in it, amenities, 80, that's not a house anymore. And this is a playground. This is a facility, we can call it. And we probably should put seats in it and make
Right.
it one of these.
Share it in some way.
Yeah, so people could come and enjoy it. But other than that, I don't think that there's I guess everybody has a different version in their minds of paradise, like what that is. And when you try different things, because I think, look, the first things that I did was my first version of it.
Right.
And that's why I was saying that house that you need to do it.
Right.
You need to get it and have that and kind of be over what it feels like to have it.
Right.
And then know you don't require it. Like that you can function and still do what you want to do next under less.
Did you have to go through all that to then realize with Sire Spirits, like you were saying, if we were Larry Page, Sergey Bin, Google, right? That's why the philanthropy component was just built in from the start, because of all the experiences you had prior. You realize, like, okay, I have all this. Now I get what really is going to matter and what this is all really for.
Yeah. It takes time for you to sort yourself out, to figure yourself out. Like, nobody comes ready, like, for success. We can anticipate it, we can want it to happen, and then when it takes place, we go, oh shit, like, we're not when you praying for success, we're not praying for jealousy or envy, and you can't have it without those things coming into your life. Or entitlement, right? From people close to you, looking at it, you like with new expectations because of what you've done. And then there's, I just think overall, like, you look at things and you say, everyone responds differently to the experience. Like, even your facelift, like when you took it off. So now everybody looks at you different because financially you're this person that they know could secure what they would like for their lifestyle. So now the women all of a sudden is whoosh, it's coming, this is an onslaught of shit. This, you feel like you like Brad Pitt or some shit, like got a whole new energy like that to you that would make them just come to you. And men are conditioned to have what we can, not exactly what we want. So when you're in circumstances where you see things that you want and it just goes the way you want it to, it's awkward. It gets weird because you don't, I think when you still a whore, you're still a hoe because you're operating in that single male phase. What I mean by that, if for the single males just watching this, when you feel like you need the physical experience and you're almost sending out a mass text, you texting 3 people at once to see who's going to respond back and then to see who you would actually like to hang out with at that point. That would be some whole shit if it was coming from a woman. So I said, when you're still in your whole phase, going through that type of thing. But until you find things to separate or you adjust to having the ability to do those things, because when you're not in a committed relationship, that's normal behavior. It is. When you talk about the relationships and how it pushes you forward in philanthropy, that, the Tillman obviously is cool. That was a big part of it. Like when we're able to make those relationships, and then it's a domino effect. So you'll see when they see one organization in the NBA, when you do it there, and then they go, oh, then the other organizations, they come to me instead of me coming to them. Because they look and they go, that's a smart move, because it adds even to the event at points when you're in the building stages. You don't have your superstar players that are drawing everyone out to come see them every time, because they're making those moments now. And it's cool that everyone's still coming to watch them because they know how to turn itself around in that time. Like, but this is every team. Like, when they start trading players and you go, what, oh, he's not playing over there no more? You see the New Jersey, same player, you're a star, but he got a New Jersey on. Like, but there's it's exciting to partner with, people that are like-minded in some ways, because they've already kind of sought out the right way to give back and do the right thing. So even when me starting with the conscious capitalism piece and doing that, it's easier to commit to it early. You see what I'm saying? And if you look and go, I've done this much over all of this time, because it's like me saying, when I say $25 million in legal fees, it's really $1 million a year. You see what I'm saying? So if $1 million a year, it's not that big of a deal, like for those expenses. And it's because if you're notably successful, like I said, if you tripped and you fell right now in front of the camera and you was on your way out, and the lawyer would be like, here, take my card, because we could figure out how to try to make that 50s fall. You see what I'm saying? Like, when you were doing the interview for 50 and you tripped and you fell, did he move the court before? Was it a possible way that he could have moved the court before that happened, that it was there? I just want to see if you're willing to be paid for your injuries.
The same way the legal fees can compound. If you start giving early, then the goodness will compound.
No, look, there. It will. I mean, and the more successful the companies are, the more effective you're able to be over time. Like when I think whenever you're able to develop, when you have the ability to do it, finance it on your own. So, like, I own these companies like that outright. It's not like other artists are connected to brands that have already established themselves and made it to a point where they can financially commit to them being ambassador or a marketing face of the company. Like, so when you end up at that point, you can make the decision to be effective in other areas at the same time.